Arsenal, the Calafiori deal it seems all but agreed. And it's an interesting one, Dan, because a week ago, there was a lot of gooners that were sort of, don't think it will happen, think we're kind of being used. But even Fabrizio and Ornstein are talking about it now. You think that'll be finalised relatively soon?
Well, I hope so. Edu and Arteta, do your job, man. Get it done. Don't let this one slip now. I mean, it looks like, yeah, it's pretty much agreed. I think personal terms were not the issue. I think it was the fee that was more of an issue between Bologna and Arsenal. 50 million euros was the kind of target fee that Bologna wanted. I think Arsenal were looking to pay closer to 40, but I think there has been a kind of agreement, or will be an agreement, to suggest that that's done within the coming days. I think he's a good signing, Terry. I don't know much about the lad in terms of his long-term career. I know he's only 22 years old and he's had some injury problems at 17, 18 and 19, but where he was very young. Versatile player, can play left back, left-sided centre-back, can invert into that midfield. I like his passing range. He's got long range passing as well as good passing range as well. And he's very highly rated. I mean, just ask Henry. He's Paolo Maldini. He said it on my channel. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's how good this lad is. I'm
Maldini.
Baby Maldini. I'm a big fan of what I hear. So I am. Similarly to Lenny Yoro, this guy's highly rated. Not quite to the degree of Yoro, obviously, to be linked with Real Madrid, but certainly highly rated. He's had a good Euros. People are talking about that. Even though Italy had a poor Euros, this guy was one of the ones that shone. So I think it's a good move. I am a little bit interested to see what happens in our defence at Arsenal now, because we have a lot of left-sided players, too many, and some of them are going to have to be shifted out. Now, Nuno Tavares, yeah, he is still at Arsenal. He's going to be linked with a move away. I think it's Ajax that are interested in him. Kieran Tierney is currently injured at the moment. We don't know who's interested, but he might actually stay at Arsenal if it gets to a stage of being long-term, because no one will be able to buy him. Don't know how badly injured he is. Zinchenko's been linked with a move away, as has Jakub Kivior. Timber is obviously back from a long-term injury, but you'd like to think that he would feature this season at fullback and can play centre-back. Calafiori likewise can play centre-back and left-back. So there's only really Gabriel and Saliba that we've got that are actual centre-backs, because Ben White can play there but is a fullback. Likewise, Tomiyasu can play there but is a fullback. So we haven't really got many centre-halves at the club. So if this guy was to come in and act as cover in that position, maybe start at left-back but be one of the centre-back covers, then I think it's a good signing overall. So, yeah, Arsenal have got a good defence and they're just making it better and upgrading on that with this guy. If we're looking at him being a potential upgrade on Kivior or maybe Tierney or Tavares or someone like that. So I think it's a really good signing, man. Really good signing.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about this lots and lots of times. I think it's a great signing for Arsenal. Pains me to say it, but that defence just gets stronger and stronger. It'd be interesting to see who goes, because I think one of Kivior, Zinchenko, or Tomiyasu will go. And I think they're selling if you believe that the links, I think they're selling the wrong one. I personally think it should be Zinchenko that goes. So I don't think he's as strong defensively as the others, but it looks like it's going to be Kivior. I think Juve are interested, as well as Inter Milan, I read yesterday. But yeah, it's a great signing for Arsenal. Bringing a forward and bringing a DM, and you've got just as good chance of winning the league as City. That DM for me is massively important. I don't think Arsenal fans are looking at it as much as they should be, because Partey's legs are gone now. And I don't think Jorginho has got the legs to play a 50-game season. And Declan Rice is this advanced 8. The only thing that Arsenal could do is bring in an 8 and then move Rice back to the DM. But then I don't think you're getting the best out of Declan Rice. You know, Arteta see that last season when he put him in that advanced role. He was brilliant in the final third. He was absolutely fantastic. But there's DMs out there. They've been linked with Zubimendi, Edison from Atalanta. You know, just bringing a forward who can play along the line, a DM and Calafiori, and I think Arsenal will go to the very, very last game of the season again. And Man City they're keeping their business very close to their chest. Like, I know the Sun are coming out saying they want Eze as well as Arsenal do, but there's not concrete links to any player. Like, Romano hasn't come out and said that they are 100% in for this player or that player. They're just kind of sitting in the shadows at the moment. Whereas Arsenal, this is where you act and you get your business done early, so then you can embed them in pre-season and have the best chance of, you know, Arteta working with the player and getting the relationship building. But yeah, it's a great signing for. Go on.
I don't think Arsenal's summer will be like a Declan Rice signing. I don't think we will have a Declan Rice signing this summer at Arsenal. The reason is I don't think there's one available. The only one I can think that could happen, which I don't think will and looks to be very unrealistic now, would be an Alexander Isak type signing. That would be one that you'd look at and go, cool, Arsenal have got what they need now. They're ready, blah, blah, blah. I don't think there's any player out there really, unless you can disagree and think there is, that would make you go, wow, that is an absolutely exceptional.
Not even Nico Williams.
Well, he's going to go Barcelona, isn't he? 49 million release clause.
But they've got to sell Rafinha before, and like their president can come out and say what he wants, but they're still in debt, absolutely crap loads. And if I,
yeah, they are, but they're in debt every year, Henry, aren't they?
I know, but I think you're a more attractive. Like Barcelona ain't winning the league anytime soon. Not with that Real Madrid team. You got flipping Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinny Jr. all in the same team, and like at least Arsenal. Is it better to go and win your 32nd La Liga with Barcelona, or to go and win a league title for the first time in 21 years of Arsenal, beating Guardiola? Plus, they've got Lamine Yamal, they've got Rafinha. Rafinha, if he doesn't want to go, they can't just force him out. They've got to sell one of those forward players before they bring in Williams. And it's up to the release clause. If both teams want to play the release clause, it comes down to who's the better match for Williams. And I think on that left-hand side, I think he's better than both Williams and Trossard. And then if Gabriel Jesus goes, you got options in it. It gives Arteta a massive, massive headache. Huge, and it's a good headache.
Yeah, I think the players who've been linked with are all good players, and they're all in the right positions. So obviously Calafiori is one. Mark Guehi today, not that I think we'll get him, but that's another player that people would say we might need in terms of like a right-sided centre-back. In midfield, we're linked with Onana. Yusuf Fofana was being linked. Joshua Kimmich was being linked. Mikel Moreno was being linked. All those players in midfield, we need some surgery in midfield. And the wide men, Pedro Neto, Eze is another one. Eze is the one that I would like, to be fair. Nico Williams, loosely linked. And then Victor Gyökeres up top. None of those are like, wow, I tell you what, Arsenal get him, they'll win the league. Do you know what I mean? Like when everyone said last summer it'll be Declan Rice, that's to win the league. I think we'll have more of the previous window that we had, which was like Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus come in, and it didn't like go, wow, Arsenal are now ready, but it goes, oh, wow, Arsenal at the time were going for top four. They've definitely got a chance of getting into the top four now, and then we went on a title race. I think we'll have one of those transfer windows where we get a couple of signings in that you think, do you know what, that's bolstered the squad. It's not taken them to the next level, but it's bolstered the squad. And people might think, well, you need to go to that next level because you've got to get past Manchester City. 100% agree, but who is there available that allows us to get across the line to that next level? Because I can only see Alexander Isak type signing coming in, or maybe a Frankie de Jong or Bruno Guimaraes or someone like that. And I don't think those players are realistic this summer, personally. But maybe I don't think
you needed Declan Rice signing this one. I think you're right. You lost the league by 2 points. Other than an Alexander Isak, who comes in that's available right now that is better than what you've got? You've got the best centre back in Europe, in my opinion, in Saliba. Your defence is going to get stronger with Calafiori. The only thing you probably need is a stronger DM for me. Like if you were to, but then again, who's out there that Arsenal go, wow? Like you don't go, wow, if you sign a Zubimendi or Edison. It's just a strong signing. Whereas like you said, an Isak, that's not on the edge of your seat going, hang on, we got a 25 goal a season player there. But the same as City. Who does City sign that you go, wow? Who do Real Madrid sign other than a Kylian Mbappe that you go, wow? The all-round squad is so strong. The difference
is, though, Henry, is they don't need a wow signing, whereas Arsenal do. Arsenal are the ones trying to compete. City and Madrid are winning everything, so they don't need the wow signing. Arsenal do need that wow signing to try and go, do you know what, now they're ready. And I don't know that there is that window out there available, is what I'm getting at. So I think although Arsenal can have a good window and get the decent defender in, and probably can get a player in each department that everyone goes, oh, do you know what, that's a good signing for Arsenal. I don't think when the window shuts, people will go, look at that team. Arsenal are already here now. That's going to get them across the line. I don't think there's that window available. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll surprise. Maybe we'll go and get someone on the wing. You think, bloody hell, didn't see that coming. Oh, where the hell did he come from? Or you'll go and get that striker, or somebody becomes available that you think, do you know what, Arsenal, go do it now. I just can't see that at the moment.
There's also like, I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to go and get him, but there's like links. Musiala. I know people in the chat saying he won't go. Money talks, mate. If Musiala is on the market, 5 or 6 clubs will break their bank to sign him.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the sort of signing that you go, All right, here we go. Right,
And that's the one. If Arsenal was to get him, I don't think we will, by the way. But if Arsenal was to get him, if he was available, then people might start going, "God, you know what? That is the one." Then Musiala, Ødegaard, and Rice in midfield. That takes you forward. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm kind of getting at. That's the sort of thing I'm meaning.
Maybe he's the mystery German that we've seen flying around. Yeah, I've seen that. But look, Calafiori, as we mentioned, excellent piece of business for Arsenal. I think you guys are in such a different situation to a Chelsea and Man United who need a lot of surgery. I wouldn't quite call it cosmetic, but it's little bits and pieces here and there. You want to be really careful to not mess up sort of knock the apple cart, but you equally want to inject some more competition. You've got to be very specific with who you bring in due to where you're at. But I think the business for Calafiori is very, very, very good indeed. It's going to be intriguing to see who else Arsenal go for. But if it was Musiala, if you were able to get him, God, is he still refusing to sign a new deal at Bayern Munich? Is that still something he's refusing to do? And it's interesting
Man
because
City are being linked as well for like the De Bruyne long-term replacement.
Yeah, that makes sense, and City could pull it off. But I don't see it being Real Madrid due to everybody else they've got, right? We've got Mbappe going in, Vinicius Jr., obviously Bellingham's going to be their main star in midfield. Barcelona can't afford him, surely, with all the situation that they've got. You then start to look at who could actually afford him. You start to, like, Arsenal are up there. Does that make sense in terms of if he leaves Bayern, based on what everybody else has got going on, Arsenal are a genuine candidate. And I think it would also, I don't know if you agree with this, Potsy, but it would almost signify such a change in Arsenal's mentality, because he isn't, typically speaking, the kind of player, even in your pomp under Wenger, that you went and signed. It was always, before they became the Musiala, you'd sign them. But very rarely did you sign a player the whole world wants, if that makes sense.
No, there wasn't many that we'd done that with, really. I mean, you have to go back to Dennis Bergkamp to go, how have Arsenal pulled that off? Mesut Ozil, potentially, but obviously
Bergkamp,
everybody was in for him. But listen, if that was to be the case, that just proves where Arsenal have come. You know, for all the doubts I've had in the last few years about whether we can get across the line and win trophies, I think for me, what we look at now is if there's a player like a Musiala or somebody else you want to pluck out there that everybody is looking at, Arsenal would at least be one of the clubs that they would go, oh, wow, okay, they're interested in me. Doesn't mean they'd sign, doesn't mean they want only Arsenal, but they would at least now look at Arsenal and go, do you know what? It actually looks quite a tempting project now. It did it a few years back. And I think that's what's interesting now is when you look around, a player like Musiala, if he become available, would look at the Sakas of this world, the Ødegaards, the Declan Rices, the Salibas, and go, oh, yeah, that's a good age group. I'm going to go fit in there. We've got a good, bright future for the next 5 years here. So I think that is the biggest compliment I can give to the regime at Arsenal and Mikel Arteta and Edu, because at least now we can actually be in the mix. Whereas before, you know, when we were coming 8th and 5th, and somebody like Musiala become available, it's like, oh, what a shame. I wish, if only. And we're not there anymore. So for me, that is only a positive sign and a compliment.
No, most certainly is. Sorry, Henry, mate, go on.
I was going to say, with Musiala, the only two clubs that are on their FFP could is City and Arsenal. I don't think Liverpool's ownership with FSG are going to go and drop 140, 150 million euro on a player. I know they've done it with Van Dijk and Alisson, but they were 80 million euros. The only two teams are the two at the top in the Premier League. Because Madrid, let's be honest, Madrid don't need him. They've just won a Champions League. And now they've got Kylian Mbappe. Barcelona are broke.
Or Man United.
Yeah,
financially. We're not going to get beat. Financially, we could do it. But yeah.
I mean, Tottenham could do it. Yeah. Tottenham have got hundreds of millions of pounds, but Musiala's going to go, hang on, like, come on now. I've won 4 league titles. You ain't won 4 league titles in the last 100. You know, you've never won 4 league titles. Like, he's going to be looking at us going, yeah. But this is the thing, like, Tottenham have got so, like, in terms of our, I guess you could say, ability to spend, our FFP is so healthy, if that's a thing. We can go out there and drop the money. We just won't, because we're very risk. Like, it's got to be a very low risk signing.
Yeah. No, I hear you, mate. I do. It would be an interesting one to see. We should be getting the sporting striker for Arsenal, yeah, Gyökeres is excellent. Like I think he's an excellent talent.
It's a big risk
Arsenal.
for me. It's a huge
Why?
risk.
But all strikers are a risk.
I know they're a risk, but you're talking £70 million for a guy that's, and I've said this to Pottsville Nice, I've said this many times, for a guy that's scored in the Championship and League NOS and the Portuguese League. The same as Santiago Jimenez is a risk because he's banged goals in the Eredivisie. You look, there's a player like Ivan Toney who's available for £50 million, who's Premier League proven and homegrown. That's a much. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd rather go for Toney in the peak of his powers. You've only got to have him for 2 years and win 2 league titles. Victor Gyökeres has banged in a league where we've seen Darwin Núñez come over and we've seen Vinicius at Spurs, who was scoring against 8th tier teams. 2 weeks later, he's on the bench at Fulham.
The only comeback I can have for that, Henry, because I agree with you. Every striker is a risk, though, right? We've seen Darwin Núñez, and I liked him over at Benfica. Unfortunately, I'd take him. I remember Vlahovic looking at that type of striker, thinking, "Yeah, do you know what? I'll take him." He hasn't done so well. But listen, when you come over from England already, when he did, and I know people will laugh at this because it's only Coventry in the Championship. That is a physically demanding league, competitive league. Absolutely smashed it, and on his own, pretty much put Coventry in the playoff final. To then go to Sporting Lisbon, and I must say at the time, I thought, oh, okay. I mean, I thought he was good, but I'm not sure he's that good. Then to absolutely kill it, and I'm not talking about get 10 to 15 goals. He got between 30 and 40 GA. It was like ridiculous over there. So I would say that it's a risk, and I agree with you. And it is of money. I think it's going to be more than 70, by the way, from what I'm hearing, if we are going to get him. If he's got an £84 million release clause, which Sporting will want as close to as they can, then it is a massive risk. I've never been able to get Ivan Toney out of my head in terms of that potential. I think that I don't think we want him for whatever reason. People say it's an attitude problem. I think that's rubbish. I don't really think that's the case. I just don't think he's on our radar. But he would be less of a risk because he's Premier League proven and he's doing it. However, stepping up for Brentford as your main man is definitely different to stepping up for Arsenal as your main man. But I do think he'd be a good signing. So, yeah, I just don't know where Arsenal will go with a striker. A lot of people I speak to don't think Arsenal will get a striker. They think Arsenal will get there.
It's the Eze stuff. Like performing for Crystal Palace when there's loads of space behind because teams naturally come onto you is going to be different to playing in a City, Liverpool, Man United or Arsenal side. And I think Eze is definitely one to watch because he's linked to practically every Big Six club now. Everyone's watching that situation. It's just who wants to fork out 50 million up front on a 60 million release clause. That's the big like.
Well, the thing you don't want either is you don't want your club buying a striker. You have to have like a standard in the sense of, say you've got 2 players that meet the criteria for you signing them, but they're unattainable for one reason or another. You're better off focusing the money elsewhere on another position for a player that hit those standards. You don't want to go down the lines. I know Man United and I know Arsenal and other clubs have done in years gone by. We go, oh, we can't get number 1 or number 2, number 3 and number 4. We're going to end up with, we'll go for number 6 because that's all that's available. That is it's the road to ruin. You're better off saying, right, we can't get a striker who's going to exponentially make us better. But what we can do is throw that money at a new midfielder or throw that money at a new goalkeeper. I don't literally mean Arsenal in this particular moment, but that's what is important to do.